all of this, especially the kirtan. So I just had a little thought about what we could, explore and think about, consider tonight. Just reading a little bit from the writings of my spiritual master, Siddhaswarupananda. And the heading of this, I'll only read a short part of this and then we can consider it, explore it a little bit. It's called Yoga, Science or Religion. And this is a natural question that people might ask. They come in and, okay, we have these kind of Eastern-looking kind of setup. It's got church stuff over here. What do you call those kind of windows? What are they called? LED light windows, which you usually find in churches. And there's these different pictures of around the place, on the walls, on the thing. And okay, well, this is something from India. Then you get lasagna for dinner. It's kind of like, okay, well, not sure how all of this fits in. And you guys are whiteys and you're doing this foreign-sounding stuff. And what is it all and where does it come from and what's the benefits of it? These are natural considerations that are good to have. So, also many times people ask me, well, why are you doing this and how did you come to do this? The yoga and the relaxation and the breathing and the mantra and the kirtan and things like that. Well, the short answer is I wasn't born into it. This was not how I was born into this tradition or, this faith or whatever people consider it to be. And it's a little bit about what I want to read and perhaps touch on tonight. Is like, the heading of this little article is called, Yoga, Science or Religion. And even then, like, okay, what religion is it? You're chanting Gopala, you're chanting Krishna, Chaitanya, Nityananda. These maybe are, not common words for you. Maybe you're wondering what they mean and why we're doing it. So it kind of ties into, people ask me my story. I'll read this first and then we can kind of go from there. The goal of all yoga processes is to lead one to a correct understanding of what is and how to apply that correct understanding in life. So right away we begin to understand this is not just about joining some particular team, group, religion, organization, or anything like that. It's about understanding what is and then applying that correct understanding into our life. So it must be very real. It must impact, our view of life, what we do, how we treat others, what we see as being success in life, what we're moving towards, what are the solutions to the various obstacles and problems that we come across in life. So it's a very practical thing, yoga. It's very applicable to our experience of life, which is different than, for instance, declaring allegiance to a particular faith or tradition, and that's kind of, you go through certain ceremonies or rituals, whereas here we're beginning to understand that yoga is actually, the goal is to have a correct understanding of things. And that is different than simple belief or a particular dogma, connected to a particular tradition. It's much broader, it is completely universal. Or what in the Christian tradition they call Catholic. Catholic doesn't just mean, particular the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic means universal, broadly applicable to everything and everyone is a deeper meaning of the word Catholic. So in the next little part it says, unlike religion, which an individual may believe in or not believe in something, regardless of its truth or untruth, the process of yoga is one that allows a person to experience direct perception of that absolute reality. In other words, it is a science, and as a science, it is a quest to understand or know the truth, reality as it is, regardless of whether the yoga practitioner wants to believe that truth or not. True understanding of the nature of things and their actual relationship is known as self-realization, acting on the basis of that self-realization is known as wisdom. So from my own experience and what I can relate, and maybe some of you can relate to it as well, the Atma, the living being, we are progressive by nature. We're always wanting to experience something new. We're always asking questions about our life and the things that are happening in our life. We're always trying to move forward in life in some form or other, to grow, right? Everybody, they call it the self-growth movement or something back in the old days. It's called something like that. There is an inherent feeling of wanting to achieve something or to improve my life or to grow from where I am. And this actually springs from you. It springs from me, the Atma, the eternal spiritual being who is temporarily walking around, in these particular bodies that we have. So this is the first step in yoga, in self-realization, is understanding that meditation that we did earlier, aham brahmasmi, which means I am spirit. So there's a difference between spiritual energy and dead matter. We are conscious living beings. We are spiritual conscious beings. So that feeling of wanting to come to know what is and to progress in life springs from me, the Atma or the self. And again, just relating a little bit back to my own experience, and I'm sure we all have our own version of this journey. As I said, this is not what I was born into a family that does this. I was born into a family of people raising cattle and sheep in the wilds of the outback Australia. And how would someone brought up in the outback of Australia end up here in this beautiful yoga sanctuary chanting Krishna, Rama, Gopala, Govinda, right? How would that even happen? Because the nature is to progress. And if we look, like sometimes people question about the different faiths, traditions that are there and how they kind of all fit in together. And if there is one supreme soul, there is one original cause, why are there so many different holy books and teachings and churches and temples and mosques? And even within each, whether it be a church, the Christian tradition, then there's this kind of Christian and that kind of Christian and the born-again Christian and the old Christian and the Latin Christian and all various brands and varieties, isn't there? It's the same there in the Islamic world, in the Buddhist world, in the Hindu tradition. There are all these variety of different things. So what I thought I'd touch on a little bit is to see things from a broader vision, to see things with the vision of eternity, because that is our real nature. We are eternal. This 70 or 80 years is not all there is. In fact, this is but a blip. This is less than a moment in the eternality of things. So we shouldn't take this 70 or 80 odd years as being everything that there is and will ever be. We have existed before this life, and we will continue to exist when this particular body is no longer been able to be inhabited. So we should look at it from this point of view of eternity. So in one way, we can look at it like this. Many people speak about, and we hear, and maybe we ourselves kind of take this point of view, that we are meant to learn lessons. That's what this life is for, right? We're meant to learn lessons, and then learning those lessons, we don't repeat the same mistakes, and we can grow. So this is true. It's kind of like education, right? Unless someone is extremely amazing, and there are people like this, by the time they're 7, they're in year 12, But most of us start kindergarten. I think they even have pre-kindergarten, don't they? Prep. They have kindergarten prep for those who can afford it. You send your kids there to prep you for all the heavy-duty stuff that happens in kindergarten. So when you graduate from kindergarten, they send you to the big kids' school. So you start in year 1. And maybe you've already learned how to count apples and things in kindergarten, learn certain things. but you start off and you begin learning. And then, you accumulate a certain amount of experience of, 5 apples take away 2 apples, and you learn. I don't know, they don't do that anymore, do they? It's all on computers, right? I don't know how that works. But then you don't, I've learned how to count to 100, right? At the end of year 1. And I've learned, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They still do that? Anyone go to kindergarten or year 1? No? I'm pretty sure. So you end up at the end of year 1 with this so much more knowledge than you had at the beginning, right? But then that's not the end of it. You then want more. It's a taste for more. You can get actually a little bit excited about, going into year 2. This is going to be so, you've seen some of the books, and you're going, wow, this is going to be so far out. You're going to learn multiplication and dividing and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so it goes on more and more. So then, you make it through, and you may go to university and even postgraduate and things like that. So if we see our life from this vision of eternity, we actually also begin to understand that although there may be what is apparent contradictions in the various spiritual traditions, there is actually a place for them. And they actually help, we learn a certain amount in a certain way, perhaps in a particular tradition, and then we can continue to grow from there. In other words, we don't just stop at a particular place. Like even in the yoga tradition, the yoga teachings, it's sometimes described as being like a ladder, and there's rungs on the ladder. So you begin off, maybe, the first rung is just learning how to breathe, right? Most of us just kind of lock our breath in, and, it's not good for the health, it's not good for the mind, so you learn how to let go of the breath, you learn complete yoga breathing, you might learn a little bit of pranayama and things like that, and you begin to experience, you can learn to relax a little bit. Bring a bit of ease into the body by doing some simple asanas, and then you continue. So there's the hatha yoga, and you begin to go, there's various rungs on this ladder, more and more. You continue to grow. While many people take to yoga initially, probably primarily in the West, for some kind of physical improvement, right? Bad back, this, that, you want to get a beach body, whatever it might be. And maybe yoga will do that for me. But we begin to feel more comfortable in our body. We begin to get a little bit of peace of mind. But then people, what else is there? This is what happened to me. I started out in the Catholic tradition, the Catholic Church, and moved on through atheism, and then into Buddhism, and then, came into, yoga. And so it was like a journey. This is the point that I wanted to make about, for all of us, that we can continue our journey. And maybe on that journey there are things which are unfamiliar to me, But if we're open to hearing, well, maybe I can progress from where I was, and because that is the inherent, feeling that we have. So, briefly, that's kind of how I ended up here. Like I said, started out in, Western Queensland and moved to the Big Smoke, and then went to school, and then Catholic, and then atheist, and then socialist, communist, then Buddhist, and then came across yoga for a back injury, and continued to grow, and continues to grow. So that's kind of what I wanted to, just a very simple message. This is not meant to be a long, lecture, just to introduce some ideas for consideration. So as far as what is this? What religion is this? When we understand this simple reality, we are all spirit soul. We are all part of the Supreme Soul. And to experience, as we were reading, it through direct perception, what is reality? Who am I? What is my connection with others, with this world, and with the Supreme? This is what this whole journey is about. So even though I'm hoping that somewhere along the line you will come across some ideas that challenge, that maybe you don't immediately understand or even accept. And this is a good thing. Just like the guy who goes from grade 1 and goes into grade 2 and then grade 3, at each point there is something new some new knowledge which I can then apply, and and the curriculum and the teacher challenges me to go further, to go deeper, to understand more. So this is the progressive nature of what yoga is, and it's part of what we're trying to do. So the process of kirtan, of mantra meditation, is that practice by which we can directly perceive the real nature of myself, of others, of the nature of this world, the nature of our relationship with the Supreme Soul, through this scientific process called yoga. So tonight we're practicing mantra yoga. Yoga meaning union with the divine, mantra meaning transcendental sound. So we have union with the divine, with the Supreme, through this hearing and chanting and experiencing kirtan, or these beautiful holy names. Thank you very much. So we do some more. So as you might have been aware, the mantras are on the screen there if you're not familiar with them. But after you hear them a couple of times, just listening, then I'm sure you can close your eyes if you like and really try to immerse in the experience of the mantra.